Welcome to Door Insider, where we take a deep dive into the mindset, the why, and the how of the industry's top entrepreneurs, leaders, recruiters, and salespeople. We are the Door Nation. Here is your host, Lee Barber. Let's go.
All right, gang, welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of Door Insider. Today, we have a special guest that really needs no introduction. We have Michael O'Donnell, also known as M.O.D. Michael's been in direct-to-home since 1983, so officially an double OG, which is pretty badass. Michael has won the double Golden Door. It's double Golden Door 5 years in a row. And we had to calculate this morning because we got a grand total of 12 megawatts sold personally.
Yeah.
Which is
12 million watts. Yeah. We were trying to figure out how many kilowatts it is. Neither one of us could do the zeros.
It's effing astounding. It's like, holy shit.
Are we carrying the one? They're moving the decimal point. What are we supposed to do?
How many commas do we need in that bad boy? So, Michael, you've been on the show before. Welcome back, man. I appreciate you coming on. You were here last night to do a big recruiting party, so I appreciate you taking the time to come out and spend some time with us, man.
Love your place, man. It's got such a great vibe. There's like history here, and it's concrete floors and
it's badass.
Iron bars over your head. Everything's fun.
The crazy thing about this building, a lot of people don't know. So we're in historical downtown Las Vegas in the Arts District. And this building is called HOP. That's the House of Porn. So this is...
I told my guys this story last time I showed this stuff, and I didn't get them to listen to anything after I said House of Porn.
It was over.
After that,
they were picturing dungeons.
I don't know.
So at night, this place... No, I'm just kidding. So in the early 70s and 80s, this was one of the largest distribution centers for old school porn tapes. So
I thought it was a studio. That's where my mind went.
That would have been way cooler. Who knows? But the building owners bought it, back in the 90s and refurbed it, and it's completely redone. So none of that anymore, but they kept the HOP name. So it's called Hop, but a lot of people don't know why. So that's why.
We're hanging at the Hop.
We're hanging at the House of Porn.
We got girls on roller skates at the Hop. I don't know.
I got to step my game up, man. So, I kind of want to start with, what you were doing in Vegas. I mean, you told me you were doing a big recruiting party last night, and some of the things I wanted to, we went over some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. And one of them was, I don't want to rehash some of the stuff that we've talked about before. I'd just like to pick your brain on some of the really cool stuff that you know. So recruiting, you were here doing recruiting. You're obviously highly skilled at recruiting. I'd like to hear a little bit about your current organization, how large it is, and what you've learned over the years and what makes you a good recruiter and how people should recruit and the functionalities of that.
Well, I'm really starting to dedicate some time to it. It's all been organic and inbound. And, we talk about social media, and the first time social media started happening, I'm like, how do I get this to shut off? People are DMing me, and I don't feel like I'm behind or something. A to-do list that I don't need. But eventually I started to understand this was a powerful medium, and my recruiting has been essentially inbound for most of these years. I'm usually in, 2, 3, 4 appointments every day, trying to close almost all of them. This year, I'm really trying to dedicate some time. And so I'm working hard every week, really doing work around the recruiting. And I'm recruiting about, somewhere between close to a dozen people a week in my local Arizona market.
It's a good look.
To start out knocking on doors, people who want to eventually become closers. So really that's the first time I've put dedicated outbound effort into it, and it's going really well. So I'm excited about that as a prospect.
That's awesome. So that brings up a kind of a random question. So this has been something that I've gone back and forth with during my career, from transitioning from, alarms to solar, but in solar specifically. When do you personally think a setter should turn into a closer? In my experience, we did it at 10 deals, and then that was just a horrific train wreck. Guys would attrit, and they would just have really hard times. And now I've kind of settled on around the 30 deals, and that just, so I believe that you have to be a good opener to be a good closer. If
That's
you can't self-generate the business,
nothing's going to do you any good anyway.
Just the closer who just knows how to go close a deal. that's all his value is, to be able to, there's so much power in going out and creating your own commerce and generating your own business, right? Not the guy, I'm not, nothing bad about car salesmen, but they're standing there waiting for the business to come up. The power that we have is we go knock on a door.
Yep. The power that they have is that they have a boss standing behind them going, you're 10 minutes late. Where are you, dude?
100%.
I'm going to write you up tomorrow if you're not here on time. You got to be here till 10 o'clock at night.
That's right.
In case anybody walks on the lot, you got to be ready to go.
100%.
We don't have that. And that's our biggest problem.
I agree. So what do you've been in the industry a long time, double OG status. What do you think the right time is for a setter to turn into a closer? And what characteristics are you looking for in that individual to take that responsibility on?
Well, what I've learned is not to listen to the applicant, not to listen to the setter, right? Because they think it's about 3 days, right? And all they're doing, the math is on the cents per watt. And they're going, oh my God, I'm getting this many cents per watt. If I was closing, I would have made this much money.
Right.
Instead of making $5,000 this month, I would have made $25,000 this month. And they're thinking, I want the big money. And so then they launch, I want to go, let me go. Put me in, coach. And then, and you, okay, well, here's your shot. They go out there and they don't close 15 in a row, and then they lose my number, and then I never hear from them ever again. So I'm not doing them a service by listening to them, So what I tell people now is that you're going to come in as a door knocker. Everybody's coming in as an appointment setter. In 1983, I was an appointment setter. That was my job. I was in those days that looked like a telemarketing phone room. I was in the phone room. I was a setter, right? Yeah. And I did that for probably about 90 days when I wandered into the conference room, came in early, and there was the owner of the company putting on the pitch about how do you sell solar in the home. And I had known just a little bit, and I'm watching him do this. By the way, the PowerPoint presentation of the day was an 8x11 3-ring binder with the little plastic things, and you slip. And he's going through the presentation, and I'm eating it up, and I'm like, put me in, coach. And I'm kind of a, kind of beg for forgiveness guy, not a ask permission guy. So instead of saying put me in, I literally took one of the 8x11 binders off the conference room table, went into the phone room, got a lead, went out on it, and did what he did. And then it got to the point of the presentation where they were really excited. There was no email in that day, so the customer couldn't say, you're gonna email this to me?
No.
So but they did get to that point and let me know, boy, we're glad you came, and this is exciting. We're pretty well sold, and we're going to do it on a different day than today. Can you, come back on a different day?
We got to think about it.
These were old tin men. These were guys who had sold aluminum siding, right? So they knew what to do. They had to, okay, when the customer does that, here's what we do. And they had close 1, close 2, close 3, close 4.
Yeah.
And you just stayed there. People ask me all the time, how long does a solar presentation last? And it's like, well, till you sign them up. Or they really emphatically ask you to leave. And that was the tin man deal. They knew there were no B-backs. No one's buying aluminum siding tomorrow. No. You don't need aluminum siding. Your house is already painted.
100%.
Very similar to solar. Nobody needs solar. Why is solar hard to sell? You don't need it.
Yeah.
You already have an electric bill.
Yeah.
And you can afford it today. You don't know that, that thing's going to blow up and take you out. So you don't perceive it to be a problem.
Yep.
So that was the thing. So I get to that point in the presentation. They say, I want to do it on a different day. And I go, oh, they told me to do this, right? So I do the little song and dance. And the people say, okay. And they sign up. I'm like, whoa, dude, that's awesome.
It's amazing.
And I call into the phone room and I say, yeah, well, that worked out okay. What worked out okay? Well, I actually took a lead and I just closed it. Well, we have one around the corner. You want to try that? So I go do that one. Same thing. Present it. They want it. Don't want to do it today. Do the little song and dance. They sign up. Take a third one at 9:00 at night. And close that one. And the phone room manager says, the owner wants you to call him. And that was a payphone thing. Put quarters into a payphone. I had a pager on my head.
I remember those.
I call the guy at home and he's like, who are you? Yeah. Who are you?
What are you doing?
I'm in the phone room. And he says, oh, okay. Well, here's the deal. You're not in the phone room anymore. Next time, ask. So that was my solution to me going from being a setter.
But that was what?
To being a closer.
3 months into the game.
Yeah, that was about 3 months in. So that's what I tell people now. It's like, when I'm talking to a new person, I'm like, dude, you're going to, if you have 10 years experience, you're going to get onboarded onto Sun Solar Solutions. As a setter. And you may be there for 3 days, 3 months, or 3 years. That's kind of going to be up to you and me to see how you're progressing. But let me tell you how it generally works. And as a setter, you can make this much money per deal. We usually close about 1 out of 3. So here's the math. That means while you're in training to be a consultant, to be a closer, you're going to be making money that looks like this. And that's way better money than they're used to. It doesn't look bad until after they do the math.
Right.
Later, when they say, if I had closed, 30 kilowatts, I would have made this much money. And then they want the big money. But I tell them, look, this is not going to take you 3 years to become, you need to be an expert. To go into a home by yourself, you have to be an expert. You will not be an expert in 3 days, but it's not going to take you 3 years, right? Yeah. So based on, I'm going to start training you immediately, right? I'm going to put you under the M.O.D. Sales Academy. We're going to put you out with door knockers and closers. We're going to start training you immediately, but it's going to be a good 60 to 90 days before anybody even remotely starts thinking of you as a potential expert.
Yep.
You're damn sure not going to be an expert in 11 days. That's just not going to happen.
Well, so, we talked a little bit about sales techniques, and I'm a huge believer in, the art of selling, and sales is a language, and it's very learnable if you pay attention, And so what I'd like to feed into that next question is what makes a good closer? So in my experience, the main objection that I'm dealing with at my stage of my career is legitimacy. It's legitimacy of me, legitimacy of company, legitimacy of offer. And that means, can the customer trust me? Do I have enough knowledge? Right. Do they feel secure when I turn that computer around?
Do they have the check mark next to I have the right guy in the right company here?
It says $74,000. Do I feel comfortable in this person's knowledge? So that what you're talking about is in transitioning that person from the setter into the closer is their personal legitimacy, because that's going to be what they know. Yeah. So how long do you think it takes? Well, in your experience, because I've experienced I've created a lot of closers, and I think, there's about this is just my opinion, but I'd like to hear yours, about a 6-month mark for a person when they start closing to when they really become fairly sufficient, that 75 to 80% sufficiency rate where they're closing above a 60% or at a 60%. Right. In your experience, what does it take to create a really solid, dependable, educated closer?
Well, first of all, you're probably not going to get a lot of people coming into this industry to keep their horses, held back for 6 months. So that depends on the individual, may not work, right? So I'm going to say it's probably somewhere between 90 days and 6 months. And the trick is to get them to, kind of hang in there for 90 days, because they start doing the math and they start getting online and looking at some multi-level red line, whatever. They don't even know what they're looking at. But
they start chasing.
Someone's telling them they're making $1 a watt, and they're like, "Oh my god, $1 a watt!" They start doing the math.
I gotta go.
I gotta go.
I gotta run.
You lose those guys. So you got to give them a pathway to get there. For me, I create a path for them to get there, and as they check off different things, then they move through that path. And I like your idea of using the number of deals as a good measurement for that. I think that's a pretty sound idea. But you know what? You asked me what makes a good closer, and it's funny. It's not something that a lot of people want to hear, and it's maybe not something I want to really say out loud.
Let's have it,
because it's not really. It's not a compliment.
Yeah.
But what makes a great closer is somebody who tends to get their way a lot.
Yeah.
So if you're everyone knows who's the guy in your family who tends to get their way a lot. If you're listening to this podcast, it's probably you.
Yeah.
And no one says that as a compliment about you, right? They're like, that guy, we're always out doing he wants to get his way. How does he get his way? Now, when people say that to me, I go, well, what are you trying to do? Like, are you mad at me for trying to get my way? Like, what are you over there doing? I thought like we were all trying to get what we thought was a good idea.
You just described me and my wife. I think she's always trying to get her way, and she thinks I'm always trying to get my way.
Maybe she's the closer in the family. Let's get her.
She's definitely a closer, I'll tell you.
So that's hard to train someone to be. And then there's another thing that I'm constantly dealing with, and that's really, really good closers make terrible canvassers. And that's because they can't get their way at the door at a high enough frequency for them to be happy. In other words, another way to put it is a closer, the guy who just doesn't take no for an answer. You tell him no, that's a signal to keep talking, right? And to keep going and to try another tactic. And if he's really smart and clever, he's going to come up with a tactic that actually works, 100%. Right? And a lot of times there's a lot of people mad at him, behind him, in his wake, right, of him getting his way. And obviously that's not what you're trying to do in the house. But yes, what makes a good closer? It's that guy, guy who seems to get what he wants. But he makes a terrible canvasser because when you tell him no, he's devastated. When he ends up with a no, he's devastated.
Yeah.
So it's the best canvasser is someone who can just take no all day long, just sits water off a duck's back, right? the better the canvasser, maybe the harder time he's going to have being a really good closer, because he'll just go, oh, you're a no, and he'll walk away. At the door, you're going for no, and that's what I teach people to do. The no is the win, because you're at a door and you got to know that's the win. When you're in the house, dude, like, I'm not leaving. If it's not yes, we're not done.
And so I started, it's interesting. You just opened my mind to a completely new paradigm. I started in alarms, and as an alarm rep, I mean, first of all, I mean, it's the same as anything else. If you don't sell, you don't get paid. Mm-hmm. But in alarms, you knock a door and then you go in and close a deal. Right. So you're really learning two skills very rapidly at once.
Right.
You're learning how to take the nose and then buckle your feet in. I remember some of the old school, and I love Vivint for, what they did for me, but some of the old school training, I remember being in the training, and we would do closing training, and they would have us, the team, physically lock our feet in to the bottom of the chair.
And I see you got one of those underneath the door here. Yeah, I can't go. My feet are locked in.
And they would say, do that in the home because it locks your mind in. And I started doing that. And I remember the neighborhood. I remember the house. And I had a guy, well, I guess we could call it emphatically, tell me to get the F out of his house. He stood up.
I've had a couple of those.
And he's like, it's time to get that, and I was like, but learning both of those skills on the door and in a close. And, it's been an interesting time for me in my career in solar, trying to understand the different depths of getting those two things to cross because a lot of the times when you take a canvasser and you turn them into a closer, they have a really hard time managing both things because now they're out trying to set, and they're trying to manage deals, and they're trying to manage appointments, and they're trying to manage pipeline. And it's a skill.
Well, it's not just a skill. It's two completely separate, different ideas.
Jobs,
they're different universe. They're two different jobs. That's what I love about solar.
Yeah.
The same day guys are trying to get in the door right now. I'm never trying to get in the door right now. I'm too busy to get in the door right now. I'm out on a door because I've got 3 appointments and I'm late for the next one. So, dude, I got to go. So I only got a minute. I'm just business card. I can come back. But I'm doing the takeaway from second one. I'm literally trying to get the customer to understand from the moment they open the door, I'm not trying to get my foot into it. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're afraid of. They open the door and they go, these sales guys going to try and get his foot in the door. Mm-hmm. He's going to want a major credit card when this is over. It's going to take the next, if I'm lucky, 45 minutes. It could be 2 hours, could be tomorrow. And when someone opens the door, I'm trying to let them know, dude, I got to go. I literally have just a minute. So listen closely because I'm going to be gone. Mm-hmm. So, and they'll be like, well, hold on. What are you talking about?
Where are you going?
Where are you going?
Get back here.
Why did you get me out of my lounge chair to tell me you have to go? That doesn't make any sense at all. Well, I just said I only have a minute.
Yeah.
And I saw you were home. I didn't want to leave. I would feel bad if you didn't get this information. We're getting this to the folks on your street. We haven't got you yet. So, but that idea is a different idea. I'm literally trying to get the word no. So I'm kind of a weird hybrid. I started as a setter, and I was in the telemarketing business since I was 12. Mm-hmm. And so I did a lot of smile and dial, which was get a no, get a no, get a no. Mm-hmm. Here's the idea. If you're in a neighborhood, and if you were in a phone room, you'd have a page. Here, call these 100.
Back then, there was no auto dialers.
Yeah. So there's 5 or 6 people on this page that are going to say, yes, just get through the 100, find the 5.
Yeah.
Don't try and turn the other 95. You can't fix stupid.
Yeah.
You can't open closed minds.
100%.
So just go find the 5 that are yes. If you're in a homeowner in a housing development, right? You're in a tract home, whatever. Mm-hmm. You're in a subdivision. There's 100 homes. There are absolutely, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 behind 5 of those doors. Just go find them.
I agree.
So just go find them. Don't worry about the no. In fact, no is good. Can I get no quickly? Mm-hmm. Favorite no I've ever had was I got my solar shirt on. I'm with another guy with his solar shirt on. We're in my truck. It's, jacked on the curb with the door open. There's a guy home and the guy looks open. He sees my billboard. There's the Sun Solar Solutions truck. Mm-hmm. He opens it up, sees my shirt, sees her shirt, sees the truck, and he goes, dude, is this solar?
Solar.
F solar. And I'm like, bro, dude, our job is to come here and find out if you're open-minded about solar. Never found it out quicker than that. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
That just helps me a lot. And thanks for coming to the door. The real hard part about our job is when someone didn't come to the door, you took the time. Come to the door. Appreciate it.
I agree.
And as I'm turning around, they go, well, I'm not saying really F solar. I'm like, no, dude, you can't fix this.
Yeah.
Dude, you're a solid no. Yeah. I get paid for the no's.
You're a 1.
You're a bam.
You're a hard 1.
Dude.
Beat it.
I'm gone. Back in my head. See you later.
I love it. Yeah, that's amazing, man. It's funny. So you started, this is some of the stuff that I know is out there, but you've been doing this since you were an extremely young man. But I'm just, going back to, I mean, you started when you were 12?
I was started telemarketing when I was 12.
Yeah.
My mom had that, thrift store call lady for the disabled American veterans. Can we count on you to put out your used items for the thrift store coming by on Thursday?
I love it.
First, she started me calling them on Thursday to remind them.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, let me make the first call, right? And she's paying me 25 cents every time somebody says yes. And I realized I could get about a yes out of every 10 calls. That was the hybrid part of me. I'm a closer, right?
Yeah.
I do not take no well.
Yeah.
But when I'm canvassing and I'm in that mode, I want 10 no's because I know there's a yes in there. So I'm literally trying to get those out of the way. So I start that when I'm 12. My mom's paying me 25 cents a yes, right? I later find out she's making $2 for every yes, and I get another lesson.
Doing the math.
And I'm trying to cut my mom out of the deal. Right?
How do I get $1.75 out of this?
But I learned another lesson in American capitalism, right?
That's right.
Which was a pretty cool lesson. But no, I started as a setter at 16, setting for aluminum siding salesmen.
Oh wow.
Literally in this little dank card room, just like on TV, Vince Vaughn in Prime Gig, some crappy little phone room.
Yeah.
And I'm, say, hey, we got a guy in your area.
We got a guy
in your area, and we want to have him stop by. He's got some great information for you.
I saw this thing on, I think it was TikTok the other day, but the guy was talking. He says, if you change your paradigm, what if I was going to pay you $100,000 and all you had to do was get 500 no's?
Dude,
the first no, you'd be like, oh yeah, we're on our way.
Yeah.
The halfway there, 250 no's, you're like, oh my gosh.
We're there. We're on our way. Let's go.
499 no's, you're like, I'm right next to my 500 grand.
Right.
It's just the paradigm and what the no's are. It's how you conceive it and think of it.
Yeah. So my book is coming out today.
Which book called?
It's called No Matter What, WATT exclamation point. It's literally, and the subtitle is, it's the recipe for a 7-figure income. So in response to what you're just talking about, how many no's do you need to make a 7-figure income?
For the camera guys, it's going to be on YouTube.
It is not about the yeses, right? It's not about how many yeses you need to make $1 million. It's how many no's. So when somebody comes into my M.O.D. Sales Academy, the first thing I have them do is answer the question, how much money are you trying to make in the next year? And if they're not from solar, they'll just come up this huge number like 85,000, 110,000, 130. And you're like, dude, that number, you can't make that much money in solar. You're going to fail and be gone. Yeah. you got to at least, triple that number to do what you need to do, which is to get that many no's that are required. But I literally break that down into saying, well, for a brand new person who's just getting started, 1 out of 15 conversations should be 14 no's and 1 yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's hard to get to 20.
Yeah.
It's hard. I've had people who I thought were solid, but I would say kind of mediocre in skill level and experience on the doors, and had them try to get to 20 every day and couldn't get to 20. So but for me, it's about 6 or 7, right? I get about 6 or 7 conversations. One of them's going to say yes. In fact, I can make almost everyone say yes to an appointment. They'll just be bad appointments.
Skill level. Yeah,
They'll be bad appointments. I don't want bad appointments.
Yep.
Which is, by the way, the worse the skill level on the canvasser, the more you want their appointments, right? If they're talking to 100 people and getting 2 yeses and 100, you want those 2 appointments. Those people are like, dude, I'm glad you came by.
I agree with you.
We were waiting for a solar canvasser, and you're it, and we want an appointment. So that's the thing. But really, you can break that down and say, what's it take to make $1 million? You and I can just sit here and do the math and say, that's our plan. Go, we'll do it. And then make $1 million. When I say it's a recipe, it's a recipe.
Well, success leaves breadcrumbs. And so, we were also talking before, almost everything that I do is based on the, men and women of our industry that are above me in skill level, and whether it's life skill level, work skill level, family skill level, education skill level. I'm a professed knuckle dragger. I mean, I'm a good salesman, but that's one of my only skills.
Thank God it pays well.
I know. Thank God.
All the stuff I can't do very well.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay good either. So I'm kind of trying to fix that.
This is the one. But what I've done is just replicate what other guys have done before me that have been doing it longer. So I love the Success Leaves Breadcrumb. And where can people get the book?
Amazon.com. It's on there right now. And I'm looking to help me out, guys. Sign up today. I'm looking to crush Grant Cardone.
Let's do it.
On the sales category. You got to sell some money to get the bestseller.
But screw Grant. Let's get M.O.D. up, man. Let's get M.O.D. up. So I want to talk too. I don't want to.
Well, real quick to address what you were just saying, the skill level in the different areas and being a sales. I'm a sales guy. I'm really not very good at a lot of other things. And so when I decided I wanted to be a coach, I started to invest in the best coach I could possibly find. And that was Coach Michael Burt. And he spoke to us. He's a national basketball championship coach. He's been coaching business leaders for years. And that's when he said to me, dude, if you want to be taken seriously as a person of influence, as a person of interest in your space, you got to write a book. And this way, when they are, introducing you to come to the stage and they go, and the author of blah, 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 they go, oh, I guess this guy belongs on the stage. I guess we should listen to this guy.
Got a book.
You got to write a book.
Knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So, but I had to pay good money to have someone say, dude, you need to write a book.
Yeah.
and then engage him to figure out how to write a book. I didn't know how to write a book. Now, he taught me how to write a book. But the other thing he taught me was, dude, you got to get on my plane. We're going to fly to Las Vegas. I'm like, dude, I usually live about 4 hours from Las Vegas. I don't need a plane to get to Vegas. I drove here today. So no, we're going to get on my plane and we're going to go see Bradley. And Bradley owns a thing called VT Lightspeed. The other thing you've got to do is mechanize this. There's no way you can train the number of people that you need to train to do this by talking to them one at a time. I'm a one at a time guy. Like, I'm not a marketing guy. I'm a salesman. I want to get in the room with you. I want to be at a kitchen table with you. I want to pitch this thing to you one at a time. Dude, that doesn't scale. He said, you need to get this thing to scale. And so we came to see Bradley. You were talking about the event here today. So we've got a partnership with Bradley. He's starting a solar company called The Real Solar. He's partnered with my good friends, Legacy.
Bradley's dropping bombs in solar now.
He is dropping bombs with Legacy Patino and Cesar Delgadillo.
I think you got a good Bradley
my sales
impersonation,
team.
don't you? Can we get it real quick?
Well, talking about training, right?
Yeah.
And if you just share something with somebody once, that's just exposure.
Yeah.
Right. And what Bradley likes to say is exposure in Nevada will get you arrested.
Bomb.
Now, what you really want is for someone to be listening to what you're saying and be really, really annoyed because it's the fifth time they've heard it. When you're saying it for the first time and it sounds like magical bombs. Yeah. And they're all gaga-eyed. Oh my God, this is how you do this. They're not taking very much of it in.
10%.
That's exposure.
I agree.
What you want is for them to hear it 5 times and they go, this is really annoying. Well, why is it annoying? It's annoying because they know it. When you try to tell something to somebody that already knows it, it's annoying. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone to go through it once, twice, 3 times, become annoyed by it, and then be in a room with me. So I'm able to onboard people onto the M.O.D Sales Academy. They can spend 8 hours with me virtually, ask me all sorts of questions virtually. I can tell them everything I've learned selling 12 million watts of solar and then be in a room with them and answer really good questions.
I love that. I tell my gangs in the different states and just throughout my career, and I've learned it myself, is when you look at anybody that's highly proficient in what they do, they never stop practicing. And, for me, I remember in the first year of my career, I had some unconscious awareness, meaning that I was doing things that were working, but I wasn't consciously aware of why they were working or exactly what I was doing. And a lot of the early training that I did in the Las Vegas Vivint office, and I attribute a lot of my career to that. It was great. John Taylor was the regional out there. It was great. So it was all sales cycle, and it had a lot to do with qualifying in sales, which is revealing direction and figuring out why the customer doesn't have the product and then answering those questions. But it took a solid year to pound that into my head and change me habitually in the way I interacted with my customers. Right. So I agree with you 100%. I don't know that 5 times is even enough. You need to hear it so much. I mean, listen, you go to any professional basketball player, it doesn't matter what time of the year, they're still going to practice. Right. So it's practice, practice, practice. So it's always sharpening the saw. So
what do you not know? Yeah. And what is that worth? Like, what am I not practicing because I don't know to practice that? I spent, $15,000 to be on a boat with Jeff Mendez, from that whole I don't know anything about that Vivint world other than they're the most spectacularly successful guys in our space and got to sell the thing for billions of dollars and all that stuff. So I said, I don't know anything that man knows. I'm going to spend $15,000 to be on a boat with him and do a mastermind and start really absorbing, plus add somebody to that circle. If you're the average of the 5 people that you're spending time with, I need someone who's, approaching, becoming a billionaire. So what do you not know? And what are you not working on? And that I walked away with one thought out of that. It was $15,000. I'd have paid $100,000 for that one thought. I came away with several things, but I came away with a driving thought. I'm a salesman. I'm not necessarily a great boss, right? Jeff Mendez is a great boss and also a great salesman. Maybe he learned that. Maybe that's his, gift. I don't know what that is. But when you're with him, you're like talking to a boss.
100%.
It's not like he's not pumping sunshine at you.
No,
right?
Jeff's a boss.
I'm a guy who pumps sunshine every direction. That's my gig. I'm at the pumping sunshine. But I came away with a thought. And I'd literally if you were the guy to give me that thought, I'd just write you a check right now for easily $15,000. And that's that you promote what you tolerate. Whatever you tolerate, you're promoting. I've completely changed my thought pattern and my approach to thinking about my organization at Sun Solar Solutions. I'm a winner. I like to be associated with winners. I like to spend time with winners. I'd look at my leaderboard. And whoever was on the top, 10, first of all, I wanted to be at the top of that. Me and my partner, Troy, are always at the top of that list for years and years and years. So I want to make sure I'm in that list. And our company, the culture is the leaders are the top sales guys. And I don't even know if that's a good model, but that's our model.
I think it's a winning model for sure.
But then I would just kind of not see who was in the other bottom 35 guys. And I wasn't really thinking it was a problem. Because if somebody hangs around and they sell a deal every 2 or 3 months, they can deal with their own spouse wondering do they really have a job?
Skinny kids, yeah.
What are those guys doing?
I have no idea.
And the problem with solar is they can pay their bills on selling a deal every other month. But I wasn't worried about what was that doing to my organization? What was that doing to the culture? If 2/3 of the people are selling a deal every other month, is that a good thing? I didn't even care about it. I was just focused on the winners. And so that taught me a very important lesson that I was literally promoting having people around who did that by tolerating it and people who were just doing enough work to create that kind of activity and letting them still be around. Is this a hobby? Can people work here and have solar as a hobby? And Sun Solar Solutions is a great company. That's not what we're looking for. So we really need to change our mindset around that.
So this is one of the questions that I had was what creates good culture? And, I had, a guy on the other day, Damon, and he wrote a really good piece on culture that a lot of people think culture is the hat and the swag, and it has nothing to do with it. It's the achievement.
Great merch.
Right. It's not merch. It's the achievements of the group. Yeah. And so I agree with you. So how do you, because I love what you're saying, and I think every organization goes through this with having the right people in the room, but not the wrong people in the room. Right. But sometimes the right people turn into the wrong people because they get big paycheck syndrome. Or
I did. That happened to me.
So how do you? It's an easy thing to say.
Yeah.
How do you manage it? So let's say you got 50 people in a room.
Yeah.
And you're going to always have your top 20%, right? Yeah. So 5 of those are going to be hitters.
Yeah.
And then you got the rest of the 45 who are and then there's 10 or 15 of those guys who are doing solar kind of part-time, and they're acting like they're on doors, and they're taking
and then hope to God one of them's a thoroughbred.
Exactly.
Where everyone's going, what in the world is that guy doing?
How do you manage that crowd of people? I mean, do you just exodus them? Do you talk? What do you do in your experience?
Yeah. I don't know if you can manage the real thoroughbreds, right?
Yeah.
But you give them things that they are dying to, desperate to achieve, like a Golden Door Award. Mm-hmm. So am I proud of my 10 Golden Door Awards in the last 5 years? Yes, I am. But I'm 10x proud that last year we had 7 guys on stage that had gone, that had come into solar with us and are with us, and they're holding a Golden Door Award. That was 26% of the whole industry's Golden Door Award. The fact that we were able to create a culture where people are striving for that. So there's no other company that has 7 people on stage. I don't know if there's others with 1 or 2. I hope there are. But for us, we're creating a culture of achievement, right? And then the money just follows that. Yeah. In our company, if you had that, you're like $750,000 and up, right? Yeah. So to have guys that have come on board and become that successful, guys that used to manage grocery stores, guys that used to sell cable TV, guys that used to do different things for, excited to make $150,000, and all of a sudden they're in the 750 league. Like, dude, that's what I live for.
It's a big deal.
That's what I'm looking for. But to make that real to people. But you said something about, big paycheck syndrome. This is not a book written by a guy who just sort of had wonderful discipline, and I'm not a disciplined guy, right? I'm not the guy who has this perfect work ethic and all this kind of stuff. I'm kind of a lazy, undisciplined guy. That's why I like sales. I like to be able to make a lot of money and be kind of chugging along I did that for decades in the corporate IT world, right?
Yeah.
In sales. I'm like, I'm reverse engineering my quota, and my quota is 20% of my capacity. And so I'm, doing that, making a couple hundred. they had engineered those comp plans. So it didn't really matter if I 5X that, I wasn't going to get 5X the money. That's what corporate America
Didn't
does.
change anything.
You 5X it, they just up your quota, and that changes your comp plan. And so you learn to throttle your efforts, because if you overachieve, they'll just up your quota, pay a percentage of that, and then you're at the same amount of money for 10 million or 2. Am I stupid?
Not in solar.
I'm not stupid.
Yeah, you're not stupid.
But when in this deal, man, it's not a comp plan, it's a deal. Like, tell me that's why I'm in solar, because it's not a comp plan, it's a deal. Yeah. But I fell into it here as well, because I had to prove to myself that I could get these golden handcuffs from corporate America's salary. I'd been in that thing for 20, 25 years of dependent upon a salary. When you're taking a salary, you're giving up 2/3 of the upside for a little bit of security. Is that a good deal? Maybe it is. When I took it the first time, it was because my wife was pregnant with our first kid, and she was losing her mind with anxiety that my check would be $2,000 one week and $200 the next. And she's like, Michael, we need you to go get a salary. Yeah. And I did. But once I got that salary, I got dependent on it. I stopped being, and I'd been a straight commission small business guy before that, but I got out of the habit and out of the confidence of believing in myself that I could support a family without that security.
That's what it is too. It's self-belief.
It was self-belief. And so I had the reverse happen. I had to prove I could do it, came into solar, sold 100 deals in a row. And then, my wife's going, okay, I believe you. You're making more in
Proof
6
in
days
process.
than you made in 6 months in corporate America. Okay, we'll let you try this, I'll try to buckle up with my anxiety that we don't have a salary and a 401k and we have a lot of that now at Sun Solar Solutions. But as soon as I proved that to myself, and I paid off my house, and I paid off my, you want to know what success means when you're a $250,000 a year guy after 25 years? It means you got a big boat.
Yeah.
But you got a big boat payment. With a big slip payment.
Everything's
okay. And I had a big boat with a big slip payment.
Yeah.
It means you got really nice cars with really big car payments.
Exactly.
And you got a really nice house and a really big mortgage. Okay. I had all of the trappings of success. I also had about $25 to $30,000 in revolving credit card debt that was eating me alive.
I've been there.
I didn't even know I had half of it. Like we had credit cards from department stores with 8,000. I'm like, what is the name of this store? So after I'm in solar for, coming up 6 months, 9 months, coming into a year, I'd paid off the credit card debt. I had paid off the mortgage. I had paid off everything I could think of. And then I was starting to keep $100 bills in a shoebox. I didn't know what to do with them. I know all I could think of is my wife knows this money exists. She'll find a way to spend it. So I need to hide this money, right?
Has that ever changed?
It has, yeah. With advice for people like Jeff Mendez to get that money into doors, right?
Yeah,
so knock doors, buy doors, knock doors. So I'm a real estate guy in terms of trying to buy doors.
So I wanted to key in there. I do want to talk about that, but real quick. So I just wanted to tie this in. So one of the things is just to tie some of this in. So you create good culture, and then you utilize social media marketing. And then what you've said is that, there's another group of people. And one of the sayings I love from that group of people is attraction rather than promotion. Yeah. And so that, I think a lot of the times that's what we have in this line of work is we have that. So how long have you been doing social media marketing and how has that worked for you in your,
I didn't know what the word meant.
Yeah.
And I had a Facebook account because, I got to see my nephews and nieces and my kids and their sporting events. Right. And so I'm signed up for Facebook, but I'm not really a Facebook guy. I go to the first door-to-door con and Taggart hands me 2 of these Golden Door Awards. And all of a sudden my Facebook thing is filling up with DMs of tell me how to do this. Tell me how to do this. And I'm like, how do I shut this off, man? Like, this is
you
not,
didn't want it.
I don't
pain in the butt.
I don't know what to do. I leave it alone. And, my partner, Val Barriquette, came with me to the 3rd D2D con. I got 2 more Golden Door Awards. My partner, Troy, gets 2 Golden Door Awards. There's something going on here at Sun Solar. People at Sun Solar are earning Golden Door Awards. Why is that? Well, we know how to sell solar. Yeah. And we can teach you how to sell solar. Yeah. So come here and we'll teach you how to sell solar. And Val's like, dude, you should be paying attention to this. I'm coming off the stage with a double Golden Door Award. And there's a lot of people that want to talk to me. He's like, you should be trying to figure out how to energize this, not shut it off. And so that was the beginning. I hired a social media person to be paying attention. I don't have the time, to be figuring that out.
Do it.
Yeah. So I hired that and then got it and then really started to engage with that thing. And now I'm really seeing it as a platform and as a leverage. And then of course, I've got thousands and
Yeah.
Thousands of people following me. Every time I do a little whatever, something on a door or talk something, I'll get like 9,000, 12,000 views. That's got to be a good thing. Right?
It's a good thing for sure. So I love that. You know what I tell I think people just have a hard time getting their head around it when they first come into the industry. But my view of social media is exactly what it is. It's a marketing platform. So they're marketing to us. And so what I use social media almost strictly for is marketing for recruiting or reps or our success, and getting the team engaged in that same thing. And you really just show that attraction rather than promotion. So I'm a huge fan of your social media. Well, we're on it.
And if you noticed, it's probably stepped up. It was kind of me with a selfie thing and all that. And now it's turned into looking like I'm a rock star coming onto onto some
Do we want to plug our boy?
No, Serge, the creator.
Serge,
so
the creator.
he's and he happens to be like the main guy in our space. He understands the vibe. He understands the look and feel of what we're looking for. So yeah, I've had a tremendous amount of comments from people going, dude, what's going on here with your social media? Like, do you have a production company? Like,
kind of do.
I have a production company. So, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, success begets success. And it's, you've come to a point in your career where you can afford to have the marketing team, but then also there's something worth marketing. I mean, you have, and you're designed by intelligence, and you're very categorical in how you approach sales. So obviously you have a big market. So I do want to talk about buying doors.
Yeah.
I'm freaking paralyzed, man. I'm like, so listen, I'm looking at stuff. We were just talking about this, and I'm like, oh yeah. So here's what happens. I go and I'm looking at 4 and 8 door apartment complexes. And then I go to look at it and boom, it's snatched up.
Right.
I go to look, boom, it's snatched up. But then I look at interest rates and they're like 6.5. And I'm like, oh, I'm frozen. I don't know what to do. What are you doing currently because I think just investment advice for the industry is always good. What has your success level been in investing in real estate? How did you get started?
Well, for one thing, I'm lucky to have a wife who's a real estate person. So she's a real estate professional. Marcia is able to focus on that while I'm out doing this. But it was also one of the reasons I wanted to spend time with Jeff Mendez. He's really built a team of people that are acquiring doors by the hundreds, right? So you got apartment complexes and stuff. And listening to them on what they're looking for and they're not the least bit afraid of what's going on in the market because they've got all that baked into the cake. And so I don't know how to bake that cake. And so I'm outsourcing that to people, who are fabulous, syndicating a lot of doors at a time. And, how am I going to acquire this, get massive amounts of depreciation to shelter other income and then and immediately have passive income and then get my whole investment back in literally a few years because they refinance the thing and my capital's still working, but I have it back in my hand as a loan without taxes. I don't know anything about that. But I just recited the reasons why you probably want to look into that type of a thing, right? So so I'm kind of outsourcing the high level thought patterns, right? Because I had the same thing. I've been a single family door buyer. Buy a home, move into another one and keep it. Buy a home, move into another one and keep it. Stuff like that. So I've got a handful of doors in that regard, but I'm shifting gears. And if all I got to do is, take this chunk of money and put it there and I'm out from the bandwidth, from the mind stuff, that's a massive benefit for me.
I like that too. I get I guess sometimes I get paralyzed by just I hand in my money to somebody but there are some great guys in the game. Jeff,
that's
Casey,
about trust.
Dave Allred. There's some
Dave Allred. I'd love to get into one of his deals, but they're usually sold out long before.
Quick,
so
he's pretty dope too. Right. No, so that's awesome, man. So
and what's great about those guys, they made their money knocking doors. Knock doors, buy doors. Knock doors, buy doors.
Yeah, I just saw Danny Pesci from Knockstar. He did from Surge. Surge does some good stuff. And Danny's all, I buy doors. And I'm like, I want some doors. So I love that, man. It's just investing in, solar is the vehicle.
Jeff made a point that stuck with me talking about it. It's not something that you wouldn't think, but if you were in New York, like in the 1940s or even the 1920s or something, there's all these amazing businesses and you're excited about these and you can buy stock in this company. And I've had lots of money in the stock market over the years and stuff. And it just seems like every couple of years it all gets wiped out. And, and the rich guy, the Wall Street guys are rich and I still have the same amount of money. Or whatever.
It's like gambling, man.
I'm not too much of a gambler, so I don't lose it, but I don't feel like I'm ever getting anywhere.
Yeah.
But he was saying, if you would have bought stock in any one of those companies, 99% of them are now out of business.
Yep.
And from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, New York, they're all turning over. Those, all those cool, hot businesses, they turn over and they're gone. But if you bought the damn building that any one of them were
building's still there.
The building is there. And you would be mega rich on that one tiny little piece of property. There's no way that one little property is not worth 20 million bucks, and you could have bought it for, whatever.
It's just
25 grand or something.
Getting out of the fear and going in. I love it. So we talked about best methods for recruiting, the social media, the attraction, what makes a good setter, what makes a good closer. One of the things I wanted to switch gears here a little bit back into that, what makes a good leader? So, I believe in leadership through servitude. One of the things that Seabaugh said to me a long time ago was, the thing about our industry is there's very little cost in switching. So, if, in my opinion, my people don't work for me, I work for them. I have to get up and serve them. And what can I do for them? Or they can just leave, and they can go find a deal somewhere and off they go.
Yeah.
So in your opinion and your leadership, because leaders beget leaders, what makes a good leader?
Well, I told you in our culture, leaders are the guys who are selling the most, right? And they're the top sales guys. And one of the things I feel like I've almost created a model of after 25 years of failure, everybody wants to become a boss. Everybody wants to be a sales manager, a VP of sales, a da-da-da-da-da. They want to start their own little sales group. What they don't understand is anything you do that slows down how much solar you're selling is going to reduce your income. So it really is servitude. All right. Are you excited about servitude? And so and I did that for 25 years in corporate America. As soon as you get good, they promote you, right? And then you get better and they promote you again, which means you're selling less and making less. And somehow you have the honor of having people work for you that make 2 or 3 times what you make. Is that a good thing? I don't know. The title sounded good, but the pay wasn't as good as I was hoping. So
I'll take money over title.
I'll take money over title every time. So in this endeavor, in the solar world, for me, becoming a leader meant I actually led people instead of becoming a boss, meaning I got my daughter to come out with me knocking doors. Like, how do you get your kid to come with you knocking doors? You show them an opportunity. And amongst the other opportunities they have, they see this as the opportunity they want to follow and go out and they knock doors and make a bunch of money, way more than they could make doing something else. Now you're leading somebody, right? And then my next door knocker was my niece. Same thing, right? My daughter's BFF cousin. Now they're out together doing that. Then my sister, who's a psychologist and getting paid like a psychologist and saying, I just don't like I like being a psychologist. I don't like the So she's working part-time, knocking on doors, making more money, knocking doors than being a psychologist. So be a leader means lead people, right? You don't need to no one needs to make you a boss. Just find someone who's willing to go out with you and say, dude, I will show you. Look, this is how much money I'm making. I used to make this. Now I make this. If you come out with me, I will show you how I do that. And if you do that instead of becoming a boss and you build a group of people who are setting appointments for you, right now, you're making a lot of money in solar. And what you'd be much better off doing is making a lot of money in solar than trying to become a group, regional, blah, 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 and any of that stuff. Just lead people. Lead people to make appointments for you, and you make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. And then when one is ready to become a closer, then really consider, are they going to be a good closer? And if so, let them go. Let them, and a lot of people want to keep close setters down. Because they want to keep setting appointments.
I agree.
Go get more setters, right? Keep leading, build your own team. You don't need to ask anybody to be a boss in solar. Just keep recruiting one door knocker at a time and help that person become a closer. As long as it's not slowing you down. So in the last 5 years, I've done that. I've had my own sales group, but I did it that way. I did it by talking my daughter into coming out with me, and then my niece and my sister, and then a guy who I knew from, a poker game and all this stuff. Come with me and learn how to do this. And I built a sales org, and their job was to stay up with me, not slow me down. Keep up, get in the truck, let's go. You want to learn how to do this? And if they disappeared, I didn't really care that much. Because then it meant this wasn't for them. But if it was for them, and let's knock doors together, and then I have an appointment. I'm going to go into this house. You stay here, knock doors, and then I'm going to come out. And you better still be here knocking doors. and I'm hoping you're going to be standing there with an appointment in your hand. And then you and I both made money. Now I was in a house selling while I had somebody else knocking doors. Now I'm making money twice. What people want to do in becoming a boss is make a lot of money by not working at all. They want to sit somewhere and be a boss and make overrides. Overrides suck. And especially in solar, because people are going to grow and leave for a nickel more. And it's just not a model that works.
To leave for a nickel.
So it's just not a model that's sustainable. You're not going to sit somewhere and make $100,000 a month because you got people out working hard. You need to work hard and then be making money twice.
I love that. I think we have one of the most interesting industries that I know of. It's filled with highly professional, highly proficient individuals.
Mhm.
And what I see a lot is that people, and what I've always had a good time doing personally was understanding the playing field. I can look at something and see how hard it is and see what skill level it is needed to do that and how much time it's going to take me and how much work it's going to take me to do that, and then engage in that work. I see a lot where people, have a false expectation, or they see you doing it and it looks easy, and then they attrit because they get their teeth kicked in because they had a false expectation, or they see what you're doing and they just think that's easy. I can go somewhere else for a nickel and do it there.
Yep.
Instead of planting the roots wherever they're at, whether it's Sun Solar or Legacy or Vivint or wherever they're at. You look at Jeff Mendez. So Jeff Mendez, Bodie Gardner recruited Jeff Mendez and Casey Baugh.
Yep.
And those guys were together.
Good couple of recruits.
That was not bad. I mean, Bo was
probably not a coincidence that the same guy recruited. Probably what he showed him how to do, and
Bo was
helped him learn. Yeah,
I mean, he sold a couple alarms, but but those guys were together for 14 plus years, I think, and the dynasty that they built, and they're still in a lot of partnerships. But that was a 14-year relationship of those guys just working extremely hard. And, I had Tyler Williams on, and he said, the CEO and the door knocker should both be working the same amount. They're just doing different jobs.
Correct.
The job changes over time, but people, they see the high level closer or the high level recruiter or the guy who's closing and recruiting and replicating himself, and they go, oh, that looks kind of easy. Just like a rookie on a door, like, oh, that was easy. That was a lay down.
As long as you have magic, everything's easy.
Yeah, you're like, no, the magic was I've been doing this since 1983. Yeah. So, they see that, and then they want to go off into Never Land and not actually buckle down and learn from the people that they're with. So what have your experiences been like with that, with retaining people and just getting them the knowledge they need to be high level professionals?
Well, my experience has been a lot of them are just, they don't retain. So I've lost more people than I've kept, and they see, oh, I want to make the big money. I'm going to make another nickel or another dime. And then 6 months they're out of the solar industry. Like I never hear from them ever again. Most of them. I mean, some of them stick around and they find a lot of them are looking to make big money so that they can, big money per watt, so they cannot work. Yeah, right. So I got guys that, they just figure out how to make 80 cents a watt, and they're overcharging the custer, and they're underworking, and they're underserving everybody.
Do 4 or 5 deals and
do 2-3 deals a month, and they're able to play golf all the time.
100%.
If that's what you're after, hey, and you figured it out, you reversed engineered success for you, I got nothing bad to say against that. But if you're really truly looking to create financial independence, there's no way to do that other than to book literally megawatts of solar.
Yep.
And you can book megawatt. You can sell a megawatt of solar by closing 2 deals a week.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if you're closing 2 deals a week, what are you doing with the rest of your week?
Yes.
And that pays somewhere in the vicinity of $500,000 or something like that. Yeah. So do you hate money? Do you not? And the answer is, I know we were talking about this earlier, most of the people that we know are very, very successful at accomplishing the goal that they have, which is to not get evicted. Right? We're all in our mind waiting for that shoe to drop where they're going to evict us, and us and our kids are out on the street. Right?
Low bar.
Man, but that's the bar. That's we're all trying to stay. And when we start getting close to that bar, we start working harder. So what I wrote, and I had experienced that as well. So, I started making paid off everything. I don't have any, and if I have a Sunday night and I'm looking at my calendar and I don't have an appointment till Wednesday and I have no bills and I have shoe boxes full of cash.
Yeah, that's great. I got Monday and Tuesday off.
I got Monday. I'm off.
Sweet.
Like, what are we going to do till Wednesday? Let's go to the lake. and then my partners are coming to me going, dude, you were posting, 100, 200, 150 kilowatts a month. We made you a partner and now you're booking 40. What's the deal? It's like, well, I had a lot of great excuses for that. You want good excuses, just ask me. I got great excuses
I got some
for
too.
stuff. Yeah. But the answer was 40 kilowatts gives me more money than I need.
Yeah.
So what's the trick? I had to really come back and figure out a way to change that. And one part of it was really waking up to the opportunity that was solar in my market. It was the end. This was 2016. It was the end of the tax credits. Net metering was going away. And I woke up and perceived like, here, I finally found the solar thing and it's gone now. And I got 6 months left to sell it. And I sold it like it was the end of the world. I found that gear. I woke up to the opportunity. I sensed the urgency. And I'm in 3-4 appointments a day. People are like, can I see you about the solar? Well, I'm going to have to see you at 10 o'clock at night. Man, that's urgency. But who was experiencing the urgency? It was me. And so what I wrote this book about was how do I create that urgency in me? And how do I have, instead of a floor of being evicted, how do I create a floor of having financial independence and generational wealth? If you follow me around, I look like a guy who's desperate not to get evicted. I'm talking about today. I've sold 64 kilowatts so far this week. One of my sales guys would make, $35,000 having done that this week.
Pretty good
this week, right?
Pretty good week.
So that's the opportunity that is solar if you're awake to it. What am I going to do? Be too busy to do that? Yeah. So the answer is, how do you do both? But the reality is how do I find a way to make generational wealth be my floor, to be desperate? If you were to follow me around, you'd think I had been given 6 months to live now. And so that's what I've written about. It's a recipe to do that. It has a lot to do with what Napoleon Hill told us to reprogram our brain. We need to feel the desperation around not using this whole day to create that level of generational wealth, financial independence, as opposed to having the floor be here. People want to talk to me about their goals. I didn't want to know about your goals. I want to know about your floor. Like, where are you effed if you don't make so much money? Why? Because I'll tell you, if this is your line where you're effed if you don't make this much money, if that's an eviction line, if it's an eviction line, if that's I have a 9-figure to retire, 9-figure, I call it my 9-figure mindset. Yeah. Right. If it's, I have a desperate goal, not a goal, a desperate floor to retire from solar with a 9-figure net worth. All right. So that's my 9-figure mindset. I'm in the process of making that happen. Right. I have an 8-figure net worth now. That was my Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich. That's what started some of that. I reprogrammed my brain to believe that I was trying to have an 8-figure net worth, a $10 million plus net worth by July of 2022. July of 2022 is next week. And I have that 8-figure net worth. Now I have a 9-figure goal, right? 9-figure mindset. And I am desperate. I am working as if I am desperate, as if I was desperate not to get evicted to make that happen. And that's what part of that recipe on the mindset is. And then, of course, you got to do the work.
I like that. That's powerful, man. I love it. It's just not getting comfortable. It's interesting for me. I just turned 47. And my mindset has changed as, I look towards 55 and 60. Where do I want to be when I'm 55 and 60? What do I want my goals? And it's created almost a new urgency in me, because I see these guys, right? So is a 7-figure income realistic? Absolutely, for almost all of us.
You can just decide to do it.
100%. Yeah. I've achieved it, and then I look at the 8-figure and the 9-figure. Well, when we look at guys around us, you're on a boat with Jeff Mendez, him, Seabaugh, M.O.D, those guys were in the game for 14 years. The income levels and the investment levels, the vehicle that solar's created, and guys say, well, how do you make $50 million in solar? You don't need to make $50 million in solar. If you can make $2 million in solar, it can fund and finance a year. Yep. You can make 50 million or 100 million. Right. Look at Dave Allred. This guy's got 1,000 doors. So, that's
how you get there. And that's a 100%. Methodical way to do there. But the way most people end up with a 9-figure net worth is they don't have to work for somebody else because they've achieved financial independence. And so they're able to work for themselves and start something. Yeah. And I'm not talking about solar. I'm talking about the next thing. The world's changing so fast and has so many problems that we're going to figure out things that the world needs. And guys who got a few $1 million ahead so they don't have to work for somebody else, they're going to start that thing, blow it up on Instagram. They're going to sell the holy living heck out of it because they learned how to do that selling solar. Yeah. And if you start a company and sell the heck out of something, someone's going to come by and buy the thing from you. Yeah. And they're going to go, we'll give you $300 million for that thing. That happens every day in America. Day somebody sells something to somebody else that they built for $300 million or $600 million or $40 million. You don't have to have a 9-figure. Idea. Like, if you want to just walk the planet barefoot and write music and hang out with the yogis, dude, if you're worth $2 million and you can generate $200,000 a year with no bills and you're financially free. Yeah. So you could decide to, so you need to create what that looks like for you. Yeah. Reverse engineer it and then just go and go do the work.
Go do the work.
Yeah. Just decide to do it.
I love it, man. So a few final questions. One, I want to hear well, we got two, and I'll just say them. The first one I want to talk about is the M.O.D. online college. And the second one, or probably one of our final questions will be, well, three maybe. What's the future of solar, and what advice would you give a year one rep? Mm-hmm. So I want to hear about the M.O.D. online college.
Yeah.
I think I had a false perception of it, and thanks to social media, I saw you there in your office, the M.O.D. office, with your hat, and you had a computer screen full of guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And you're like, no, that's part of the M.O.D. college. You get ongoing, because I'm like, my brain, it still goes into weird place. Oh yeah, do I want to put my guys just on this computer? But you get the computer, you get M.O.D. telling you 5 times, and then you get the 6th time live with M.O.D. So tell us about the M.O.D. online college for closers.
Well, so what I've done is be able to mechanize the training so that it's not one-on-one, it's one-to-many, and yet it's virtually one-on-one with me. So the MODsalesacademy.com, you're online, and it's going to be like spending the next 8 hours together, where I'm going to tell you every single thing at my best place, how to sell 12 million watts of solar in 5 years, right? So you're going to know everything that I know and be able to watch it 5 times till it's annoying. Yeah. And once it becomes annoying, you'll be like, why is it annoying? Because now I know it. I know. And you know the word tracks. On there is the mindset. On there is that how do I turn no into a win so that I can get enough yeses to get to 2 or 3 kitchen tables every day. Once I'm at those 2 or 3 kitchen tables every day, how do I light the customer's ass on fire? Mm-hmm. Like if their ass isn't on fire, I don't understand the opportunity of solar for that homeowner. Mm-hmm. If I'm able to understand it and convey it to them, they're literally going to be explosively sold on solar. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, once I get to that point and they're explosively sold, they're going to want to go solar. Yeah. But they're going to want to do it tomorrow.
So you know what's funny?
They're going to want to do it a couple days from now.
You were at Knockstar, and you were up on the stage doing your slide presentation. And I just love it when I get pumped up, man. So I was like, by the end of it, I was like, I wanted to just like run out into Salt Lake and go sell some freaking solar. I'm like, I gotta go sell some solar, like right now.
Me too.
Like you like even in the training, like your perception of like, we're selling power. Like wake up, like what are you doing? So, but by the end of your presentation, I was like, literally, my blood was boiling. I wanted to go sell. So
all I was doing was speaking the truth of the circumstances that the homeowner and us are in at the current moment. Yeah. And what are those circumstances? And the answer to that question is I've sold 12 million watts of solar by explaining to people that the cost of kilowatt hours were going to double over the next 15 years. Why were they going to double over the next 15? Because they doubled every 15 years for the last 60 years. So why wouldn't they double over the next? And they still wouldn't believe me. They'd be like, well, all right, we'll buy solar just in case you're right.
Maybe.
Yeah, because, somehow this inflation thing is probably going away. Yeah, it's like we've had it forever, but now it doesn't exist. I was explaining to people, like, when my kids were in high school, movies were $5 and now they're 12, right? And this was 2 years ago. Now they're 15, right? IMAX, Top Gun, it's $15 in the movies.
It's a lot.
And that's real. That's real inflation, right? That's what's going on here. That's why people need to buy solar. Well, I was so wrong. I was epically, chronically so wrong. It's not even funny. There's no way in the world that the cost of a kilowatt hour is going to double in the next 15 years. The truth is it's going to double in the next 2 or 3 years. Why? Because gasoline has doubled. Why? Because the price of energy just has a new normal. Yeah. Right. It went up 30% in one day when Russia invaded the Ukraine. Yeah. And that was in the midst of inflation that we hadn't seen in 40 years. What are the inflation that we're dealing with? Are you kidding me? 8.6 inflation nationwide. Yeah. In Arizona, it's 11%. If you come up to somebody who's living in a home that they were paying $2,000 a month for rent, and he was renting, there's no solar. The benefit of that is there's no solar guy knocking on his door because we got an app that says he's a renter and he don't qualify. 100%. So we don't knock on a door. But you know who's knocking on his door? The landlord. Dude, this don't cost $2,000 a month anymore.
The rent has gone up in
This
Vegas.
place is now $3,000 a month. And you're going, dude, that's the same place it was a year ago. It doesn't matter. This is the new normal price. It's $3,000. Yeah. Well, dude, I don't have $3,000. I guess you're going to move. Go find another place. You go to start looking around. Where are my kids going to go? Where can I live so my kids can go to the same school? The answer to that is nowhere. Yeah. You now live in a different part of town. Yeah. Right? The $2,000 a month is an entirely different universe than it was 2 years ago. And you could have bought that house 2 years ago. And you decided to wait a while. Yep. I'm going to do a little research. I'm going to get on your website.
I'm look online.
I'm going to spend a little time thinking about this.
You got a business card?
Yeah, you got a business card that I can have?
So there was a documentary. It was geez, I can't remember the name of the guy that did it, but Clean Energy Revolution is the name of his, Robert Redford's son.
Oh yeah.
And there's a moment where a guy is talking and he says, we've left the microchip era and we're now in the energy era. And so one of the things that I'm constantly thinking of is I live in Nevada, but if you look at the Colorado River, all of our rivers are down. And so my brain says, why don't we desalinate water? So, and I always revert back to what did he mean by we're in the era of energy? Well, because as global warming exceeds, right, this is real stuff. The bread belt's heating up, and so they can't grow food there anymore. And we're also losing water. And so my brain always says, rising sea waters, lowering normal waters, let's desalinate the water. But I'm watching a thing, what it takes to desalinate water.
Energy.
Massive amounts of energy. So as we grow, I agree more than 100% with you. The cost of energy will multiply in the next 2, 3, 5 years by extreme multiples because the energy that's going to be needed to sustain the population between food growth and water desalination and the other things that we're going to need to live is going to be great. And we're talking, I always tell people, like the next best thing you could be selling to make money or to do something from electricity is gasoline. And I don't want to sell gasoline, but we're selling electricity. We're selling
instead of gasoline. Somehow that's going to help things. We're going to burn. We're going to burn rocks that we get out of the ground and light them on fire. We're selling to make electricity to drive Teslas instead of gasoline. Somehow that's better.
Man. This is way better. But we're giving people the freedom to choose and the freedom of money and financial freedom to finally lock in the price of a commodity, which is normally completely out of control.
Dude, that's what we're selling.
100%.
That's exactly what we're selling. So you're telling me you're paying 20 cents a kilowatt. Dude, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be 20 cents a kilowatt in 2 or 3 years. It's going to double in 2 or 3 years. It's going to triple by the end of the decade. There's no chance that doesn't happen.
2030?
And
off the charts.
And by the way, the government has said digging stuff out of the ground and lighting it on fire is over.
Can't do that anymore.
And how are they going to get us to stop doing it? They're going to literally tax it to death. And so, in Hawaii, it's 85 cents a kilowatt hour and they're 85% solar. So there's your answer, right? Cool. So there's 65. What's the future of solar? There's 65 million homes that are suitable for solar, and there's currently 3 million of them have solar. So in the M.O.D. Sales Academy, what we're trying to do is convey that message. It's not only compelling, it's the answer to an existential threat. I was sitting with a guy the other day in a 5,000 square foot house. He's spending $6,000 a year. I mean, the guy is well off. He's not worried about his $6,000 electric bill.
Right.
Dude, do you realize it's going to be $18,000 a year by the end of the decade? That's in 6, 7 short years. $18,000. You willing to pay that? He's like, that's a frightening number. Yeah. Like, dude, we're moving. We don't live in a 5,000 square foot house anymore. We're gonna go into live into that miniature housing complex now where we need tiny so many houses.
Well, it's good investments and bad investments, and when you can reallocate that money. So what that's one of the final questions. Obviously, the future of solar, I think, is just off the charts. I had Dustin Mansell in here from Lone Pal, and those are guys that in the financials have a pretty good scope of what's happening nationally for solar and the scope of solar. But what do you think is the future of solar?
So I think we got 65 million homes. I think we got to get them solar by the end of the decade. I think that's a massive mission, and this is a service. Yeah. And in the M.O.D. Sales Academy, I'm teaching people how to wake people up. They don't understand this. Think about the damsel in distress being tied to the railroad tracks, right? And the guy shows up with a knife and she says, "I'm not interested in a knife." He goes, dude, I'm like, "Lady, look to your left. There's a freight train coming. It's going to run you over." Yeah. This is not about the knife. I'm not a knife salesman. I'm a get you uncut from the track salesman. Yeah. That's what I'm selling you.
I love it.
And so if we can get the customer to understand that. And so I'm teaching people how to do that in the academy. And then we got to wake up to that every single day. So I literally do a live call every single day from 8 to 8:30 in the morning, every single day. John Maxwell says you can cut down the biggest tree in the forest with one swing of an axe per day. And if you do it every day. So literally we're doing this every day. We're on a call, and it's a mastermind. It's how do we get our mind into the frame that we're going from 0 to 1 every day. We're stop becoming a victim of inertia and start becoming the beneficiary of momentum. But you got to start that momentum every single solitary day. So that's part of that program. In fact, people who buy this book are going to end up with an invitation to try that out for a week. And
I love that.
Try that out.
We had Ashton. He's from our org at Legacy, and he was in it. He's just an amazing human being and a great salesman. And his thing is a lot like the lady but it's shark in the water.
There you go.
And he's like, so if your buddy's out in the water and you see a shark fin, are you like, hey, Michael, you should come on in now.
And if you're bleeding, how much would you pay for a Band-Aid?
There's a shark in the water. It's like, no, hey, there's a freaking shark in the water. Get out.
Yeah.
It's an emergency situation. So creating that urgency every day.
Yeah, we're not going door to door handing out, you could get a green star for going green. This is not a tree hugger thing, right? There's 12 solar systems in your neighborhood because these people have determined that this was the answer to a crisis. Yeah. It literally is. So we're not going door to door going, buy some Avon. We're literally going door to door saying the British are coming. In fact, they're here. Yeah. The British are here. The British are here. What are you going to do about it? The cost of kilowatts is already way higher than customers are paying. It's way higher. We don't know it. The cost of energy went up 30% just this last quarter. Yeah. And kilowatts haven't changed. Why is that? They can change the price at the gas pump on everyday basis. Yeah. They can't change the cost of the kilowatt hours without going to the meeting. Yeah. What is that meeting? That's the Utility Commission in Arizona. It's the Arizona Corporation Commission. They have to go to the meeting. They haven't been to the meeting yet. They're coming back now from those meetings. And in Texas, we're seeing 80% increases to kilowatt hours. In Philadelphia, we're seeing a 40% increase to kilowatt hours. The cost is already higher. Yeah. They just haven't been able to adjust the price yet, which means they're going to have to move the price even higher to cover the last year while every utility company has been paying double for gas. Yeah.
Well, you look at some of these. I mean, El Paso, Texas, El Paso Electric, owned by J.P. Morgan Chase. Aha. Those guys are not trying to not make money. Yeah. Envy Energy is owned by Berkshire Energy, Berkshire Hathaway. So it's just for profit. Yeah. I love that, man. So first 1 or 2 year rep, what is your advice for those guys? You know, it's doors are an arduous journey, to say the least. I mean, it's a spiritual thing, which you against you're your boss. You have to go out and manage your time and your personal life. People go out and get their teeth kicked in. There's a lot of learning that people are doing in that first year. What is your advice for that guy that's struggling and he's just like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to make this thing?
Change your relationship with this word, the word no. You see the sun coming through the word no. Yeah. All of the power and energy of solar income comes from your relationship to the word no. Yeah. If you can turn that word into a win instead of cataclysmic rejection loss, that's the ballgame. And so if you understand all the money comes from that and then realize that the money comes in kilowatts, not in cents. Yeah. People running around, stepping over $250,000, $500,000 to pick up a nickel is just effing stupid. It's okay. Dumb as hell. If you stay in one place and learn how to do it and book lots and lots of kilowatts,
go make money.
Yeah. If you sell 2 million watts of solar, and you can do that. Yeah. If you focus, pay attention, keep learning, do what you're doing, up level your skill. Then if you sell 2 million, your 1099 is going to say shitload. Okay. And it won't matter if you were making this many cents or that many cents or running around trying to pick up a nickel. It's going to say shitload. It's going to say financial security on it if you do that 2-3 years in a row.
Mine made me throw up in my mouth this year. I was like, holy shit. But
what made me throwing up in my mouth was having to write, a check that looked like close to $500,000 to the IRS.
I got to catch up to you. I was good, but not that good.
And that's why I want to buy lots of doors. I got to make that number.
Yeah. I could have put a 20% down payment on $1 million. I didn't
almost throw up in my mouth. I literally threw up in my mouth thinking about handing those guys $500,000.
It's a lot. And what they're doing with it is not anything great. Yeah. Well, listen, Michael, I appreciate you taking the time to come down.
Awesome to be here.
It's an honor, man. I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm a student of the game. I really am. And we have a lot of great people in our industry doing cool things. Taggart, Pessy and those guys, and you, and there's a lot of people on really cool platforms. You're probably one of my very favorite people in the game, just because of the level of content that you have. I really follow in line with your sales techniques. It's just you go in and sell solar through education and urgency.
And by the way, none of this was my idea. I just wanted these guys to leave me alone, keep selling solar. And Taggart's like, why don't you come to the sales summit and let people learn? I'm like, I don't know if I want to tell everybody about this. Yeah. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. The only reason I was able to sell that much solar in 2015 is I had been taught by tin men how to sell. I'm not coming back. This isn't the meeting about the meeting. This is the meeting. I'm never coming back. Yeah. I was taught how to do that by Tinman. And so in the land of the blind, I knew how to do this. I'm like, I know how to sell solar. And then I was also able to teach others. When he said, you should do this for free and then let everybody know how you do it, I was a little skeptical.
Sounds crazy when you say it.
It did sound a little crazy, but I also believe in karma.
I do too.
I believe in things happen for a reason. And that has led me to a point where I got a book and a M.O.D. Sales Academy. And I think it's doing something good for the world. And it's doing something good for me. My company is still we have this great company, Sun Solar Solutions, and there's not a day that goes by where I don't have multiple people calling, is there any way I could join your company?
Yeah.
I'd really like to join your company and find out how to make $1 million a year. Seems like it turns out people are interested in making $1 million a year. They're not always so excited about the answer.
Yeah.
What's your answer? I started having that kind of income, and I left the IT world where I was a VP of sales, and I didn't update my LinkedIn until about a year ago because I didn't want those guys to know I was knocking on doors, that I was a door-to-door peddler. But occasionally one of them would call me and they go, dude, I heard you got this gig, man.
Yeah. And
you're making $1 million, $2 million a year. What are you doing? Dude, solar, it's the future. It's the thing. It's what's going on. Oh my God, that's amazing. Well, what do you do every day? How do you get your leads? No problem.
Doors.
It's the easiest thing in the world. I just go door to door.
Yeah.
Click
over. I had a guy.
None of those guys became interested. Not one.
They want what you have, but they don't want to do what you've done. And it's ego. I had a guy sit in front of me and say, I wouldn't knock doors. And I knew the guy. He said, I wouldn't knock doors for $1 million a year.
Dude, my best friend.
Yeah. When I made $1 million, I couldn't help it. I texted him and I said, I just made $1 million knocking doors.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing good.
Yeah. My best friend, I'll give him a shout out, Dan West.
Yeah.
He's a way better closer than me. He's like the combination of great salesman and boss.
Yeah.
He just tells people what to do and they do it. You know what I mean? And he's a great closer, and he's made lots and lots of money doing stuff. I mean, he's in a gig that's fine. He's making lots of money, but he could be doing this way better than me. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to knock on a door. That's not happening. And you know what? That's good to know that.
Yeah.
And when I'm recruiting people and they're brand new to solar and they got these stars in their eyes, I'm like, let me give you what this looks like. It's 110 in Phoenix today.
Yeah.
And we're going to go knock some doors. Yeah. And we're going to be excited about that. Yeah. I got to tell you, it's brutal.
It's brutal.
I'm not telling you it's easy. I'm telling you it's brutal.
Yeah.
But if you were to tell me, show up with a shovel and dig a 30-foot trench in the 110 degrees, if you do that for a year straight, 7 days a week, I'll give you $1 million. Dude, you would not need to motivate me.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
You would not need a motivational program.
It's funny. What I actually told him in that meeting is I said, that's crazy. I would pick up dog shit with my hand for $1 million a year.
Absolutely.
Let's go, because it's just financial freedom. So I love it, man.
I got to incorporate that one. That takes that thought to a
whole
new
nother level.
Would you really do that for $1 million a year?
Do I get a glove?
And yeah, right. You'd be necessity is the mother of invention.
It is.
Right. Yeah. I'd be inventing.
Can I use tools?
Yeah. All of a sudden, we'd have a pooper scooper upper, right?
100%. Michael, thank you for coming on. So, M.O.D., where do they find you on social medias?
Michael O'Donnell Sales, and that'll get you to TikTok. I'm a big TikTok guy. Do you know that?
I love it. Yeah, I follow you. I give you the hearts.
I'm a big TikTok guy. So, and Instagram, Facebook, that's all the same. Michael O'Donnell Sales. And if you want to check out the book, that's on Amazon. Do that right now because I'm getting my bestseller points. It's literally everything that I've learned. It's in the book. That's the book version. And then the M.O.D. Sales Academy is the Netflix version. We're literally going to spend the next 8-12 hours together. And I'm just going to tell you everything and how to do it. So
success leaves breadcrumbs. Thank you for coming on, Michael.
Great to be here with you again.
Right. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, thanks.
Right.